I am John, a 32-year-old software developer with a life many would envy. For 3 years, Amanda and I built what I thought was a rock-solid relationship, leading to our engagement just 6 months ago. We shared a beautiful home in Seattle and were deep into planning our dream fall wedding. Everything seemed perfect until her ex-boyfriend Derek returned to town. What happened next on that rainy Tuesday evening shattered everything I believed about our love. Before I dive into my story, let me know where you are watching from and hit that subscribe button if you have ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted completely. I first met Amanda at my college friend Taylor's housewarming party 3 years ago. She was standing by the window laughing at something someone had said, and I felt immediately drawn to her. Her confident presence and warm smile caught my attention from across the room. After working up the courage to introduce myself, we spent the entire evening talking as if we had known each other for years. Amanda worked as a marketing executive at a growing tech company in Seattle. She was ambitious, creative, and passionate about her career qualities I deeply admired. We quickly discovered our shared love for hiking the Pacific Northwest trails, trying out new restaurants, and binge-watching crime documentaries. Our values aligned perfectly, too. We both valued honesty, communication, and wanted to build something meaningful together. Our connection was immediate and powerful. After dating for just 3 months, it felt like we had known each other forever. We fit into each other's lives seamlessly. My friends loved her, and her friends welcomed me into their circle. Even our families got along when they met during the holidays that first year. After 1 year together, we decided to take the next step and move in together. We found a beautiful apartment with a view of Lake Union that we both fell in love with. Combining our lives under one roof felt natural and right. We established routines together, decorated our space with items that represented both of us, and created a home that felt truly ours. Our relationship continued to strengthen as we supported each other through various challenges. When Amanda was passed over for a promotion she deserved, I was there to comfort her and help her strategize her next career move. When my company went through a difficult restructuring and I worried about my job security, she was my rock, encouraging me to use the opportunity to showcase my value. We built a strong network of friends as a couple. Weekend brunches, game nights, and summer barbecues became regular events in our social calendar. We became known among our friends as the couple who had it all figured out. Many of them even commented that we gave them hope for their own relationships. Our families became intertwined as well. Amanda formed a special bond with my mother, often calling her just to chat. I enjoyed fishing trips with her father and discussing football with her brothers. During holidays, we created new traditions that blended both of our families' customs. It felt like we were already building our own family unit. After 2.5 years together, I knew without a doubt that Amanda was the woman I wanted to spend my life with. I spent months planning the perfect proposal. I enlisted the help of our closest friends to set up a surprise dinner at the restaurant where we had our first date. After a perfect meal, I suggested a walk along the waterfront where I had arranged for a string quartet to be playing our song. As the music played and the Seattle skyline twinkled behind us, I got down on one knee and asked Amanda to marry me. The joy on her face when she said yes is something I will never forget. She cried happy tears as I slipped the ring on her finger, a sapphire surrounded by diamonds that I had chosen because it reminded me of her eyes. That night, we celebrated with champagne and calls to our families and friends to share the good news. We stayed up until sunrise talking about our future together, the wedding we wanted, the home we would build, and even the family we hoped to have one day. It was one of the happiest nights of my life. We dove into wedding planning with enthusiasm. Amanda had always dreamed of a fall wedding with rich colors and rustic elegance. We secured a beautiful venue overlooking the mountains for the following October, exactly a year after our engagement. Every weekend seemed filled with venue visits, menu tastings, and discussions about guest lists and music selections. During this happy time, there was no indication that anything was wrong. We still made time for date nights amidst the wedding planning. We continued to support each other's career goals and celebrate small victories together. Our physical and emotional connection remained strong. I truly believed we were headed for the happily ever after we both deserved. The first sign of trouble came about 4 months into our engagement. Amanda casually mentioned over dinner that her ex-boyfriend Derek had moved back to Seattle after spending several years in Chicago. She said they had bumped into each other at a coffee shop downtown and caught up briefly. I did not think much of it at the time. Amanda had dated Derek for about a year in college, but that was nearly a decade ago. She had mentioned him occasionally describing the relationship as intense, but ultimately incompatible. I had no reason to be concerned. When she mentioned seeing him, I simply asked if it was nice to catch up with an old friend, and we moved on to other topics. Looking back, I should have paid more attention to the subtle changes that began after that day. Amanda started spending more time on her phone, often smiling at messages but being vague when I asked who she was talking to. She began working late more frequently and added new yoga classes to her schedule that kept her out several evenings a week. I noticed these changes but pushed aside my growing uneasiness. I did not want to seem insecure or controlling. I trusted Amanda completely and believed in our relationship. However, as the weeks passed, the nagging feeling that something was off continued to grow stronger. As the weeks went by, the red flags became impossible to ignore. Amanda started keeping her phone face down whenever she was around me, and I noticed she had added a new password. Several times I walked into her room to find her quickly ending a phone call or changing the screen on her phone. When I would ask who she was talking to, she would give vague answers like a work colleague or an old friend. Her unexplained absences became more frequent too. What started as occasional late nights at the office or extended yoga sessions evolved into entire evenings where she was unreachable. She would return home with flimsy excuses claiming her phone had died or she had been in areas with poor reception. The explanations never quite added up, but I kept trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. I also noticed a distinct cooling in our physical relationship. Amanda began avoiding intimacy, claiming she was too tired or stressed from work. The affectionate touches and kisses that had been a natural part of our daily routine became rare. Even our conversations became more superficial. We stopped discussing our future together with the same enthusiasm. Most concerning was how she began postponing wedding planning activities. The weekly planning sessions we had scheduled became monthly, then disappeared altogether. When I would bring up decisions we needed to make, she would say we had plenty of time or suggest we take a break from planning to avoid burnout. After nearly 2 months of this behavior, I finally gathered the courage to address my concerns directly. One evening after dinner, I sat Amanda down and gently asked if everything was okay between us. I mentioned the distance I had been feeling and asked if there was something I had done or if she was having doubts about the wedding. Her reaction stunned me. Rather than acknowledging my concerns, she became defensive. She accused me of being paranoid and monitoring her every move. She claimed she was just busy with work and needed some space, suggesting I was being clingy and insecure. When I specifically mentioned Derek and asked if he was a factor, she laughed dismissively and said I was being ridiculous. That conversation left me feeling confused and questioning my own perceptions. Was I being unreasonable? Was this normal pre-wedding stress I was misinterpreting? I reached out to my best friend Sam for perspective. Sam listened carefully to everything I had noticed and said something that resonated deeply. He said, "Trust your gut, John. You are not crazy for noticing these changes. Either something is going on with Amanda that she is not sharing with you, or your relationship is in trouble. Either way, you deserve answers." Other friends echoed similar sentiments when I cautiously brought up my concerns. My sister, who had always been close with Amanda, admitted she had noticed Amanda seeming distant at our last family gathering. These conversations gave me the confidence to trust my instincts rather than allow myself to be gaslighted. I decided to pay more careful attention to Amanda's behavior without becoming obsessive or invading her privacy. I did not check her phone or follow her, but I did start noting the patterns in her absences and her reactions when Derek's name came up in conversation. The devastating discovery came sooner than I expected. I had been scheduled to attend a 3-day business conference in Portland, but returned a day early when the final day's sessions were canceled. I did not tell Amanda about the change in plans, thinking I might surprise her with dinner after her workday. I arrived home around 4 in the afternoon, expecting the house to be empty. Instead, I heard Amanda's voice coming from our bedroom. She was on the phone speaking in a hushed but excited tone I had not heard from her in months. I paused in the hallway, not intentionally eavesdropping, but caught off guard by her presence and the intimacy in her voice. What I heard next froze me to the spot. "I need to figure out how to tell John about us," she was saying. "No, I have not given him any specifics yet, just been creating some distance. Yes, I still have the ring you gave me. Of course I will wear it once this is all settled." My heart pounding, I stepped into the doorway of our bedroom. Amanda looked up, her expression changing from shock to something closer to annoyance at being interrupted. She quickly told the person on the other end I have to go and ended the call. For a moment, we just stared at each other. The silence stretched between us like a physical thing. Finally, I found my voice. "Was that Derek?" I asked, already knowing the answer. Amanda did not bother denying it. "Yes," she said, setting her phone down with deliberate casualness. "I was going to talk to you about this soon anyway." I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. "Talk to me about what exactly?" I managed to ask. Amanda stood up and crossed her arms. With a coldness I had never seen from her before, she said the words that would end everything between us. "Derek and I have reconnected since he moved back, and we realized what we had never really ended. He proposed to me last week and I said yes." I stared at her in disbelief, waiting for more explanation, some recognition of the magnitude of her betrayal. But she continued in the same detached tone, as if discussing a minor schedule change rather than the destruction of our relationship. "Derek and I have a history that goes deeper than you and I ever had," she explained. "What we had was good, John, but Derek and I are meant to be together. I was hoping we could handle this maturely. We can still be friends." The sheer audacity of her statement snapped me out of my shock. "You accepted a proposal from another man while still wearing my ring and living in our home, and you expect us to be friends?" I asked incredulously. She shrugged. "I did not want to hurt you, but these things happen. People realize they are with the wrong person all the time. I was planning to tell you this weekend." As the full reality of the situation hit me, anger replaced my initial shock. "You have been lying to me for months," I said, my voice shaking with emotion. "You have been sneaking around behind my back, building a relationship with someone else while stringing me along." Amanda rolled her eyes, which only fueled my anger. "Do not be so dramatic," she said. "I was trying to be sure before ending things with you. It would have been worse if I had broken off our engagement only to realize it was a mistake." I could not believe what I was hearing. The woman standing before me seemed like a stranger, not the person I had loved and trusted completely. The cold calculation of her betrayal was staggering. She had not only cheated, but had accepted another man's proposal while still engaged to me, all while continuing to live in our shared home and benefit from our shared life. In that moment, I knew exactly what needed to happen. "I need you to leave," I said firmly, "tonight. I do not care where you go, but you cannot stay here." Her expression changed from dismissive to surprised. "Are you serious?" she asked. "Where am I supposed to go on such short notice?" I suggested she could go to the man she had just agreed to marry, or to a friend's house, or a hotel. I did not care as long as she was not under the same roof as me. Amanda seemed genuinely shocked by my reaction. "I think you are overreacting," she said. "We could take some time to discuss this like adults. I thought you would understand. Understand what I asked. That you have been lying to my face for months, that you have been seeing someone else behind my back, that you accepted his proposal while still wearing my ring. Which part exactly should I be understanding about?" She attempted to touch my arm, but I stepped back. "Please, John," she said, her tone softening in a way that once would have melted my resolve. "Let us not end things like this. We have 3 years of history. That history was built on what I thought was trust and honesty," I replied. "You destroyed that the moment you chose to betray me instead of being honest about your feelings." As the argument continued, it became clear that Amanda had never expected me to react this way. She had anticipated that I would accept her decision with grace, perhaps even give her my blessing. The fact that I was standing firm in my demand that she leave immediately seemed to genuinely surprise her. Finally, after realizing I would not budge, Amanda began gathering some essential items. "I will come for the rest of my things when you have calmed down," she said coolly. I do not need to calm down, I responded. I need you to respect me enough to leave now that I know the truth. You can arrange to get your things later this week, when I am at work. As she packed an overnight bag, the reality of what was happening began to sink in. 3 years of my life, the future I had planned, the wedding we had been organizing, all of it was evaporating before my eyes. But despite the pain, I knew I was making the right decision. I deserved better than what Amanda had done to me. Before leaving, Amanda turned to me one last time. You will regret handling things this way, she said. You are acting out of hurt pride. No, I replied. I am acting out of self-respect, something you clearly do not understand. With that, she walked out the door, taking with her the life I thought we were building together. As I heard her car start and drive away, I sat down on our couch, my head in my hands, and allowed myself to finally feel the full weight of what had just happened. The hours after Amanda left were some of the darkest I have experienced. I sat alone in our home, surrounded by reminders of the life we had built together, now shattered beyond repair. Photos of us smiling on vacations, furniture we had chosen together, even the coffee mug she used every morning, all seemed to mock the future I had believed in. That night, I barely slept. I alternated between numbness, rage, and a crushing sadness that made it difficult to breathe. I called in sick to work the next day, unable to face putting on a normal facade while my personal life was in ruins. Instead, I reached out to my closest friends and family, breaking the devastating news that the engagement was off and the relationship was over. Their support was immediate and overwhelming. My best friend Sam came over that evening with takeout and helped me start the process of reclaiming the space. We moved Amanda's things into the spare bedroom and rearranged the living room furniture, small changes that helped the place feel less like our home and more like mine. My parents called hourly to check on me, offering to fly in from Chicago if I needed them. My sister Jennifer, who lived nearby, stopped by daily with home-cooked meals and a shoulder to cry on. Their love and support created a safety net that kept me from completely falling apart. The practical aspects of untangling our lives proved nearly as painful as the emotional ones. Amanda texted the next day asking when she could come get her things. We arranged for her to come while I was out with Sam, present to supervise. I could not bear to see her or risk another conversation that would leave me more wounded than before. The financial disentanglement was complicated. We had joint bank accounts, shared credit cards, and had already put deposits down on wedding venues and services. Canceling everything and dividing our assets required multiple uncomfortable email exchanges. I insisted on keeping communications strictly business, like ignoring her occasional attempts to engage in more personal conversation. One of the most painful moments came when I had to return her engagement ring. Rather than doing it in person, I asked our mutual friend Lisa to serve as an intermediary. The ring, which I had spent months saving for and had represented all my hopes for our future, was now just an expensive reminder of betrayal. Perhaps the most humiliating part was having to tell everyone about the canceled wedding. I drafted a simple email to send to guests explaining that the wedding would not be taking place. I deliberately kept it vague, stating only that Amanda and I had decided to part ways. Despite her betrayal, I did not want to turn our social circle against her by sharing the full truth. As the initial shock began to wear off, I started seeing a therapist to help process the betrayal. Dr. Martinez helped me understand that the depth of my pain was proportional to the depth of my trust in Amanda. She gave me tools to manage the overwhelming emotions and to begin rebuilding my sense of self-worth. 3 weeks after Amanda moved out, I began to establish new routines. I threw myself into my work, taking on additional projects that had previously been on the back burner. The focus required helped keep my mind occupied during the day, preventing it from constantly replaying memories and questions about what I could have done differently. I also reconnected with friends I had somewhat neglected during my relationship. Weekly poker nights with college buddies, mountain biking with my coworker Martin, and even a cooking class I had always wanted to try but never made time for. These activities slowly began to fill the Amanda-shaped void in my life with new experiences and strengthened friendships. Physical activity became a crucial outlet for my emotions. I joined a gym and started working out daily, pushing my body to exhaustion. On weekends, I hiked the trails Amanda and I once enjoyed together, reclaiming them as my own and finding solace in the peaceful forests of the Pacific Northwest. The physical exertion helped me sleep at night and gave me a sense of progress and control when everything else felt chaotic. Journaling became another important tool in my healing. Each night, I would write about my feelings, memories that had surfaced, and small victories in getting through the day. Over time, I noticed the entries shifting from raw pain to thoughtful reflection, a tangible record of my healing journey. The support of my friends continued to be invaluable. They created a calendar to ensure someone checked in on me daily, never allowing me to isolate myself completely. They listened without judgment when I needed to vent, distracted me with activities when rumination became unproductive, and gently encouraged me to look toward the future rather than dwell on the past. Gradually, I began to imagine a life without Amanda. I considered trips. I wanted to take career goals I wanted to pursue and even redecorated parts of the apartment to better reflect my personal taste. These small acts of reclaiming my identity separate from being half of a couple were empowering. About a month after our breakup on a rainy Saturday afternoon, much like the day we had met, there was an unexpected knock at my door. I was not expecting anyone, so I opened it with curiosity rather than caution. Standing there soaking wet and with makeup streaming down her face was Amanda. For a moment I simply stared at her, unable to process her presence on my doorstep. She looked different, smaller somehow, with none of the confident coldness she had displayed when telling me about Derek. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying, and she clutched her purse to her chest like a shield. "John," she said, her voice breaking, "can I please come in? I need to talk to you." Every instinct told me to close the door, to protect myself from whatever new pain she had come to inflict. But curiosity and a small treacherous part of my heart that still cared what happened to her made me step aside and let her in. She stood dripping on the entryway rug, looking around at the changes I had made to the apartment with a mixture of surprise and sadness. I did not offer to take her coat or make her comfortable. Instead, I crossed my arms and waited for her to speak. Through tears and halting words, Amanda revealed why she had come. Derek had been cheating on her not with one woman, but with several. She had discovered text messages on his phone from at least 3 different women, all romantic in nature, all during the time he had been pursuing her. He told me they were nothing, just friends he occasionally flirted with, she explained, wiping her eyes with a tissue I reluctantly provided. But when I pressed him, it all came out. He has been seeing these women the entire time, even when he proposed to me. He said he was never planning to be monogamous, that I should understand how these things work. As she continued talking, it became clear that Derek had never intended to offer her the commitment she thought she was getting. He had wanted the excitement of reconnecting with an ex and the ego boost of stealing her away from another man, but not the responsibility of an actual relationship. "I realized what a horrible mistake I made," John, Amanda said, finally looking directly at me. "I threw away everything we built together for a lie. I hurt the one person who truly loved me, all for someone who never really cared about me at all." Then came the words I had both dreaded and in my weakest moments hoped to hear. "I want to come back, John. I know I do not deserve another chance, but what we had was real and special. We can work through this. I still love you." As she spoke, I felt a strange conflict within me. Part of me, the part that had loved her deeply for 3 years, felt a pull toward her. The familiar face, the shared history, the comfort of returning to what I knew, all exerted a powerful gravity. But another part of me, the part that had been rebuilding myself over the past month, recognized this moment for what it was. Amanda had not come back because she had realized her love for me. She had come back because her plan A had failed spectacularly, and she was now looking to me as her safety net, her plan B. "I know that look on your face, John," she said, taking a step toward me. "You are thinking about it. You still have feelings for me. We can fix this." She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "Yes, I still have feelings for you, Amanda," I admitted. 3 years of love does not disappear in a month. But those feelings are not enough anymore. "What do you mean?" she asked, confusion replacing the hope in her eyes. I realized in that moment exactly what I needed to say, not just for her, but for myself. It was time to claim my own worth and establish the boundaries I deserved all along. I gestured toward the couch, indicating Amanda should sit down. This would be our final conversation, and I wanted to do it properly to provide closure for both of us. She sat on the edge of the cushion, hope still visible in her eyes, despite my initial rejection. I took a seat in the armchair across from her, maintaining a deliberate physical distance. I had imagined this scenario many times over the past month, a fantasy where Amanda would realize her mistake and come back begging for forgiveness. In those daydreams, sometimes I took her back and sometimes I turned her away. Now that it was actually happening, I felt surprisingly clear about what needed to be said. First, I want to say that I am truly sorry for what happened with Derek, I began. No one deserves to be cheated on or lied to, not even someone who did those same things to someone else. I would not wish that pain on anyone. Amanda nodded gratefully, clearly relieved that I was not gloating over her misfortune. But I need you to understand something fundamental, I continued. Trust is like a mirror, Amanda. Once it is broken, you can try to fix it, but you will always see the cracks in the reflection. What you did broke something between us that cannot simply be glued back together with apologies or regrets. I paused to make sure my words were sinking in before continuing. When you told me you were leaving me for Derek, you did not just end our relationship. You shattered the foundation of trust that everything we built together rested upon. You made a deliberate series of choices over months, each one a betrayal. You lied to my face repeatedly. You allowed me to continue planning our wedding while you were building a relationship with someone else. Amanda tried to interrupt, but I realize now that was a terrible mistake. I held up my hand. Let me finish. This is not just about the pain you caused, though that was substantial. It is about what your actions revealed about how you view me and our relationship. When things got difficult or when something more exciting came along, you did not choose to communicate with me or work through it together. You chose deception and betrayal. You treated me as disposable. Her tears flowed freely now, but I continued knowing this clarity was necessary for both of us. The most telling part was your assumption that I would just understand and accept being your second choice. That speaks volumes about how little you respected me. You expected me to wait in the wings in case things did not work out with Derek. No, that is not true, she protested weakly. Is it not? I asked. Then why are you here now? You are not here because you suddenly realized you love me more than him. You are here because he hurt you and you think I am safe. You want the security and love I provided without having earned back the right to receive it. Amanda looked down at her hands. I made a mistake, John. A terrible mistake. People deserve second chances. Some mistakes cannot be undone, I said gently. Some choices have permanent consequences. This is one of them. I deserve to be someone's first choice, not their backup plan. I deserve someone who would not betray me when tempted. And honestly, you deserve to be with someone you would not betray when tempted. Clearly, that person was not me. She looked up, a flash of anger cutting through her tears. So that is it. 3 years together, and you cannot find it in your heart to forgive one mistake. I smiled sadly. It was not one mistake, Amanda. It was hundreds of individual choices made day after day. Each lie, each secret meeting, each time you pulled away from me instead of toward me. And now, even in asking for forgiveness, you are minimizing what you did instead of truly owning it. That tells me nothing has really changed. I stood up, signaling that the conversation was coming to an end. I do forgive you, Amanda, not for your sake, but for mine. I do not want to carry anger or resentment forward into my future. But forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. It does not mean I am willing to put myself in a position to be hurt by you again. Amanda sat there seemingly stunned by my resolve. I never thought you would actually refuse to take me back, she finally said. A year ago I might not have, I admitted. But the past month has taught me a lot about self-respect and what I deserve in a relationship. I am grateful for that lesson, even if the tuition was painfully high. Her expression shifted between disbelief, anger, and finally a reluctant acceptance. So this is really it, she asked, standing up. This is really it, I confirmed. I hope you find happiness, Amanda. I mean that sincerely. But that happiness will not be with me. She gathered her purse, her movements slow, as if she was still expecting me to change my mind at the last minute. I walked her to the door, maintaining an emotional distance that would have been impossible just a month earlier. At the threshold, she turned to me one last time. I really did love you, John. I just got confused. I believe you did in your way, I said. But love without loyalty and respect is not enough. With that final exchange, Amanda walked out of my apartment and my life. As I closed the door behind her, I felt a surprising sense of peace wash over me. The conversation had gone exactly as it needed to, and I had stayed true to my worth throughout. The following weeks brought an unexpected feeling of freedom. Having faced one of my greatest fears, the loss of the relationship and future I had planned and survived it, I felt a new confidence in my resilience. The pain was still there, but it no longer controlled me. I threw myself into my work with renewed focus, earning recognition from management and even a promotion that had previously seemed out of reach. My improved performance was not about distracting myself from pain anymore, but about channeling my energy into goals that mattered to me. My personal growth continued as well. I maintained the healthy habits I had developed during the initial healing period, exercising regularly, spending time in nature, and nurturing my friendships. I also explored new interests, taking a photography class and planning a solo trip to Iceland, something I had always wanted to do but had postponed due to relationship commitments. As for dating, I did eventually begin to open myself up to that possibility again. About 3 months after the final conversation with Amanda, I met Sophia at a friend's gallery opening. Our connection was different from what I had experienced before, more grounded and honest from the beginning. I approached this new relationship with clearer boundaries and expectations, determined to build something healthy based on mutual respect. 6 months after Amanda showed up at my door, my life had transformed in ways I could not have imagined during those dark days following our breakup. The pain had not disappeared completely, but it had evolved into wisdom. I had learned to trust my instincts, to value myself enough to walk away from situations that diminished me, and to recognize that sometimes the most painful endings lead to the most necessary beginnings. The experience taught me that self-respect must come before relationship preservation, that being alone is preferable to being with someone who does not truly value you, that forgiveness does not require reconciliation, and perhaps most importantly, that we teach others how to treat us by what we accept, what we refuse, and what we stand for. As I look back on that rainy afternoon when Amanda came back into my life only to leave it for good, I realize it was one of the most defining moments of my adult life. In refusing to be her backup plan, I declared my worth in a way no one else could do for me. In that moment of standing firm, despite the pull of familiarity and the fear of the unknown, I chose myself perhaps for the first time. So if you find yourself faced with someone who treated you as an option, returning to treat you as a priority only when their first choice fell through, remember this: you deserve to be the first choice. You deserve loyalty, honesty, and respect. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is not, "I forgive you" or "I still love you," but simply, "No, thank you." I would love to hear your thoughts on this story. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between going back to something familiar but harmful or stepping into the unknown? What did you choose and how did it work out for you? Leave a comment below, hit the like button if this resonated with you, and subscribe for more stories about finding strength after betrayal. Thank you for listening, and remember, you are worth more than being someone's backup plan.